Navi tree, oh Navi tree, thy leaves are so unchanging. Oh Navi tree, oh whatever the goddess's name tree was. Anyway, that's the one. Oh Awa tree, thy movies are unchanging for the most part. What's that line from Amadeus? I speak for all mediocrities. I am their champion. I am their patron saint. I absolve you. All your mediocrities. I absolve you. I absolve you. I absolve you. Oh. Hey, Alchemical Alex. It's been so long. Excellent. Need to spread the link to someone else who just asked me to do that. Sorry, just give me a moment. There we go. All right, people coming on. How was your Christmas, Alchemical Alex? Mine has been as good as it could have been. I mean, I was very, very busy, but only recently have I had the time to just chill. And so I reckon during this time, I might as well check out the third Avatar movie. And in regards to the third Avatar movie, you're really not missing out on much in the long term. Once you've seen one Avatar movie, you've basically seen them all. Good night. Of course, the alcohol-free beer was in my hand the whole time. Right. Alright. Whoa! Holy cow! Ah! Okay. Don't scare me like that. Oh, you're still here? I've already explained it. Once you've seen one Avatar movie, you've seen them all. Go home. Alright, fine. I guess I'll elaborate. I always feel the same way. So I have exams on the 2nd of January already. Yeah. Long, hard history student. So the first Avatar movie, the second one was just a slightly worse rehash. Elaborate on it. All right, I will. Funny you should say that. I mean, a friend of mine and I thought that Way of Water was somewhat better than the first one. But at the same time, the entire series is just one rehash after another, only with some slight variations in regards to the overall plot structure. It was specifically another friend of mine who, funnily enough, also happened to have made a live stream, well, not on this movie, but on the previous movie. Here we go. Does this lassie ring any bells, anybody? She made an entire live stream. Holy moly, 3 hours and 4 minutes. Man, that brings me back. Hopefully she'll get back online at some point. Malaika talked at length about the sequel, so if you want to learn more about the insights of the sequel, you can go watch that live stream. Because honestly, I do understand that the second movie is better on the basis that it's more character-focused, and some ideas are more explored, but at the same time, yeah, pretty much a rehash. And the first movie was pretty much as bare bones as it gets, and the third movie has a lot of convoluted stuff happening, and I've noticed the third one gets particularly flimsy with the writing. Like, I don't think you guys care for spoilers, but there are some moments that made me think, oh, come on, really? As in, there was a battle scene. It was before the battle scene, like the teenage Sigourney Weaver character goes up to one of the water Navi, the water Navi queen, that is. She's like long into her pregnancy. And they're talking to each other, and then she's starting to experience contractions. They explicitly say she has contractions, but then a scene or two later, there's the pregnant queen ready for battle. Okay, to paraphrase Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park, just because you could, that doesn't mean that you should. Yeah, I kid you not. Wait, who's like pregnant, like experiencing contractions, like never mind her, fighting with the baby in her womb in the previous movie. No, never mind that. Experiencing contractions. Like, look, I get that the Navi are stronger than humans. I get it, but at the same time, really? In the midst of experiencing contractions, what do you think is going to happen? Lives are at risk. Do you want to risk another one? And even if you could get hit, and the moment you get hit, you're going to go into labor. And when you get into labor, not only are you in a vulnerable position, but your baby's in a vulnerable position. And whoever's going to help you is in a vulnerable position. What are you thinking? It's so stupid. Yeah, it's so absurd. And that seems to be a bit of a trend in Hollywood now that I think about it. What is with Hollywood's obsession with like 9 months or so pregnant lady? Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration, but like probably I don't know, at least above the second trimester. What is it with all these films like Across the Spider-Verse and this movie insisting that there was that other movie made by the guy who made There Will Be Blood with Leonardo DiCaprio in it? What's with all these movies that insisting that these pregnant ladies above the second trimester can fight? It also happened in the HBO adaptation of The Last of Us. Like, why? Self-defense, I get it, but why? Yeah. When moments like that happen, I just could not take this movie seriously. That's one of the main problems with this overall trilogy is that the plot structure is overly simplistic, and yet James Cameron has clearly got above and beyond with the world building and the visuals. I mean, that's great and good in itself, but then he's trying to place all this weighty topic matter on a plot structure that's way too simple. Like, way too simple. Honestly, it's nothing new to say that if you want an actually investing, visually gorgeous, environmental-based movie, just go watch Studio Ghibli's Princess Mononoke instead, because that actually keeps into consideration the nuance of what the humans are in it for, what nature's in it for, and how people on the nature side are not always these benevolent people, and the people on the humans industry side are not always malicious. They actually do care about the environment in some ways. Although, to be fair on this movie that we're going to discuss, there was the introduction of a more hostile, dare I say, orc-like Na'vi tribe. More so like the Fire and Ash and stuff like that. And they're a new antagonistic force in the movie. So it's given how the movie's like overtly allegorical of colonialism and the settlers and the Native Americans and stuff like that. At least they're delving into the nuance that, hey, not every tribe was friendly and innocent as it were. In fact, that reality has been explored in other actual Native American movies like Dances with Wolves and Last of the Mohicans. Those two movies actually had, I think, one of the same actors portraying like a hostile Native American, just to so talk about commitment, I guess. I mean, obviously, if you want better Native American movies, go watch those movies as well. I should also note, whilst it's fresh on my mind, Critical Drinker, of course, made a video on this, although at first he made a video endorsing that new David animated movie, which I've yet to see, and I'm comparing it to the box office numbers of Avatar 3. I mean, I was expecting him to talk about Avatar 3, but I didn't expect him to make that. So hopefully David will be as good as he says it is, or something like that. Anyway, I wanted to note just before moving on, he mentioned in his funny review of Avatar 3 that play a drinking game on how the supposed side of humanity is only compiled of Caucasians and apparently not many else. I probably need to watch his review again to double check, but he said that if you play a drinking game on other cultures that are represented in humanity, you won't really find many, you won't get that drunk. But having seen the film, I could say that there was at least maybe one or two African American people in there. So there's something to keep in mind. But apart from that, yeah, the broad majority of humanity in these Avatar movies are mainly, not all of them, but mainly compiled of Caucasian people. So there's that to keep in mind. Right. And again, if you want some more insight into the previous movie and the topics of family that was discussed in the previous installment, The Way of Water, then I'd highly recommend you go check out Malaika's live stream. Albeit it's 3 hours long, but I'm sure you guys are patient enough for some of that kind of stuff. I mean, you've been watching hours of my content. I'm sure you could watch hours of hers. In fact, we might just go to her live stream and watch certain bits of her live stream just to further discuss about stuff about Avatar 3. But I suppose I'm just going to go ahead with this review with the assumption that you either seen all the Avatar movies or that you just don't care. You just want to hear me say my thing. I suppose I should start off by establishing how I've perceived the Avatar franchise over the years. Fun fact, I didn't actually see the first Avatar movie. For some reason, I didn't give myself the chance to see it in cinemas, and it was so hyped up by it. I remember it was highly advertised in the DVD shops and the cinemas and stuff like that. The most I got access to it was via the Avatar video game, the Nintendo Wii version. Didn't have the Wii Motion Plus at the time, so I didn't get access to the whole BWAS perk. But it was basically kind of like Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, but a really linear version of that with some flying sequences. I didn't see the first Avatar movie until it aired on the TV one time years later, and I tell you, the visuals are absolutely stunning. Say what you will about these movies, there's no denying these are some of the most visually stunning movies you're ever going to see. I know people make fun of the fact that humans are acting with people who are clearly not there, but at the same time, the motion capture combined with this immersive environment, this luminescent, glowing jungle world with all its unique, creative flora and fauna, and you have these blue people who can be in touch with the exotic animals. It's on a surface level basis, it's really immersive stuff, and that combined with the music and the and other components going into it, it makes for an engaging watch. You'll certainly have fun with some of the concepts and stuff like that. But when you take a step back and absorb the film from a narrative structure, it pretty much falls apart. Doug Walker said that the first Avatar movie was a movie that he didn't like, yet everyone else did. I completely understand why. Avatar, it's a very basic plot. If you've seen the likes of Fern Gully or other things like that, then you pretty much already know what this kind of movie's going in. It's an obviously evil. Corporate humans are attacking the benevolent and 100% sweet and improved Avatar people. And it is much better to be a Na'vi person than it is to be a human being. It's a narrative that's it's overly simplistic. It doesn't take into consideration potential nuances that would come from this kind of setting. It doesn't really delve much into the ways of what humans need to do to survive that much, because it's implied that they've had no choice but to go to this planet they called Pandora, and pretty much bare bones plot, protecting the home and following generic protagonist, learning to become one with the natives, and then falling in love with the native lass. Gee, where have I seen that before? Oh yeah, that's right. It's been in many other movies, including Dances with Wolves. Eventually, the protagonist, whose name is Jake Sully, has this intense fight with his former commander. Who he has a name, but I kept forgetting his name. And Alchemical Alex says, yeah, it really frustrates me how much potential their world really has, but they never expand on it ever. Yeah, exactly. And when you keep watching the series, even all the way up to the third movie, for crying out loud, they never expand on stuff like the state of the human race and its planets could be interesting to explore. Yeah, I mean, like, I get that the Earth is kind of like a desolate state, like in Cowboy Bebop, but they never delve more fully into that. There's like the movies are like more than 3 hours long each, like the length of like James Cameron's Titanic. Like, you'd think during that time we would explore like the conditions of the Earth, why humans had to do this and that and stuff like that, but it's hardly ever explored. It's just generic pro environment hippie plot, and it's such a shame because like people like Hayao Miyazaki have been able to achieve a much more masterful approach of the environmental message, which with far less significant amount of time. So what's going on here? You're trying to get us emotionally invested in all these characters and stuff like that, and sure, there's moments where we'll think, oh, okay, go. Don't get caught. But at the same time, in the long term, none of the major players are ever really lost. So there's not really that much weight. Oh, sure, we see like the occasional like side character die here and there, like the Sigourney Weaver character in the first movie and things like that. But there's not really a lot of stakes in it for the major like characters like Neytiri and Jake Sully and the like, you know. It gets to a point where it's tricky to take the stakes of the situation seriously. And it's the fact that these movies are trying to spend so much time and effort getting us emotionally invested in what are basically simplistic characters that never really get that much development time. Like the commander character is just a hilariously stereotypical macho military guy, with the only character nuance to him is that he has some care for his son, a spider, which gets developed in the later movies. So there's an interesting sequence at the end of the first movie where after the final battle, Neytiri sees the human form of Jake Sully. There's that catchphrase, "I see you." That, you know, that form of intimacy, that intimate catchphrase that the Na'vi keep saying to each other in order to bond and things like that. It's interesting. Neytiri finally sees the person who was she only saw from from one perspective, as it were, and then Jake consents to completely discarding his human body in order to forever live as an avatar, with the final shot of him like opening his eye, boom, avatar. I mean, I guess like the concept's kind of interesting. The concept of leaving the human body behind to just rot and decay because it was pretty much in a near-death situation anyway. I mean, that I can. It's an interesting idea, but again, it's not really fully developed on. Now, a lot of people don't really like Way of Water, but Malaika writes, and I actually think that The Way of Water is actually a better movie than the first one. Yeah, it does suffer from being a rehashed sequel, so people are gonna like roll their eyes over like the lack of originality. But thankfully, The Way of Water does expand much more on the characters, because this time Jake Sully and Neytiri have been having some nice sexy time with each other, as well as adopting a few other children of their own. And now we're exploring the dynamics of the family. There's an older brother, a younger brother, a very young sister, an adopted daughter who, from some mysterious means, which is explained in Fire and Ash, is the Avatar Navi daughter of the Sigourney Weaver character. Then, of course, most significantly, there's Spider, who has a very brief introduction as being the son of the commander person who was killed in the first movie. I mean, yeah, that's one of the main weaknesses of The Way of Water. It skims over some pretty significant character details that would have been necessary for us to get invested in them, which is such a shame, because we're supposed to be emotionally invested in these characters, and yet for the most essential emotional bonding time, like getting to know how they were raised and things like that, the movie kind of skims over it, which is a lot of missed potential there. But at the same time, the movies do thankfully delve much more into family dynamics and traditional family values. So at the time, people were actually very grateful for Avatar: The Way of Water, and were much more willing to put up with the mediocrity of Avatar: The Way of Water than a lot of the corporate woke slop that was out at the time. Because the woke are very anti-family, because they perceive family as oppressive hierarchy, patriarchy, da 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 da. But here's the thing: like, hierarchy is inevitable when it comes to family dynamics, but that doesn't mean it's an unhealthy thing. It's a mandatory thing. You've got to have parents at the top who are willing to guide their children on how to navigate life. So the hierarchy is inevitable, and that's okay. Like, we need hierarchy. So obviously it was quite natural for people at the time to latch on to Avatar: The Way of Water. But even then, there were some cop-out moments that were pretty questionable, like the aforementioned commander character from the first movie. He comes back, but this time in Avatar Navi form, because they explain that in the case that the commander died, he copied his memories and his DNA into an Avatar version to finish the job off on his behalf. Yeah, that's a bit of a cop-out, but I suppose on a conceptual basis, I think James Cameron was trying to play out these concepts with Hinduism, and Hindu themes are very much reoccurring elements in the Avatar franchise. I'd say Hinduism is a very predominant theme in the entire franchise. I mean, it's established in the Avatar movies that the Na'vi have their own religion of Awa, this Mother Nature goddess. It's implied that Awa is like one with like the entire planet of Pandora, and the whole concept of humans like going into these Na'vi forms. It's from what I understand, it's analogous to reincarnation, and the fact that they're blue represents how much of the Hindu deities are blue. So yeah, there's a lot of Hindu concepts in the movie, and I think what James Cameron was trying to play is that is trying to bring up these reincarnation ideas, even with the commander character. And in the third movie, it's expanded that he has new eyes if you could only open them up to see. But of course, he remains the typical macho man commander character, so there's lots of potential there. One thing I heard about the religion of Avatar is that their god is actually an absent, impersonal, creative force. Yeah, I suppose that sentiment is very much true in the third movie, because in Fire and Ash, there's constant attempts to contact Eywa to help fight back against the oppressive humans. And that creates some interesting contrast to the Christian deity. Yeah, I can imagine why. Because in the third movie, their characters talk about where was Eywa when this and that happened? Oh, Eywa showed up there, but is she going to save you if I cut the throat there? Oh, your goddess is not here. So on and so forth. So yeah, the parallels are pretty much there, and I suppose that question is pretty much inevitable for like the whole problem of evil, right? It's like if insert deity here in this case, why do all these bad stuff happen? In the third movie, they explain that sometime there's frequent attempts for the Na'vi to try to contact Eywa. They have the hair extended thing. So, are you the Avatar Ong? Thankfully, we're not talking about that movie. So in Fire and Ash, welcome to the live stream. Without the Avatar series, they have those hair brand things that covers up their connect. How do I put this? Nature USB things that they used to, for lack of a better term, plug themselves. That sounds like a sexual analogy. Okay, let's try again. They have the hair things that allows them to attach them. How do I describe this? That's because it is. That's probably because it's a sexual analogy. Yeah, it probably is. Right, okay. All right, fine. Sexual analogy embraced. Okay. Right. The Na'vi have these hairbrand things that allows them to connect with the animals so that they can have more efficiency in riding around, whether it be the flying animals in the sky or the swimming animals in the oceans and things like that. And at various moments throughout the movies, the Na'vi attempt to contact their goddess Eywa, and as Alchemical Alex has indicated, in the third movie, they get more into overt detail about trying to contact Eywa, the teenage Sigourney Weaver character. I kept forgetting her name. She's trying to contact Eywa so that to help fight back against the predominant human force, who are once again doing the whole whaling thing from the second movie, which my friend Malaika has already talked at length about that. So yeah, the whaling thing's back. Make of that as you will. So during her moment, they go to this glowing plant thing, which is under the water. So she has to connect there, and she's trying to connect to Eywa, but she has this vision that she's trying to reach this big purple white light, and she's saying, "Eywa, where are you? Why are you bounding us?" And then the force gets too much for her. Meanwhile, in the present world, her character is having a seizure. But at the end of the third movie, well, actually, okay, I need to describe it in more detail first. So, in the movie, she's trying to contact her. Where are you? Where are you? And later on in the movie, Spider and the little girl, I kept forgetting her name. They go down to her. Prior to that, there was a scene where they say, "If you try it again, you will die." Raising the stakes. and she's asking, "Why would you do this?" And then one of the Navi says, "Sometimes Awa doesn't allow certain things to happen so that we can grow in some way," or something like that. Okay, it's not overt that they say it in that way, but that's the implication. I'm surprised. You know, I could have, but you know what? There is a YouTuber out there, what was her name? Snarky J, who literally cosplayed as a Navi character to do her review. So there's that if you want to check it out. Yeah. But then again, I suppose if I put the blue paint the wrong way, people would think I'm reviewing Braveheart. Or the Smurfs, or like trying to endorse like the Blue Men, you know, the percussion band. Another character describes Awa's not listening as like a firewall. Sometimes there's just things that come in the way that's not meant to be reacted. So I was like, okay, so they're hinting at the fact that Awa's not preventing something from happening so that something greater can come about, like character growth, stuff like that. But they never really go through with that as a firewall. Seriously, that's the analogy that a human character uses. That, or you're the bald guy from Dungeons and Dragons with the blue lipstick. Do not watch this movie in 2D, or you will suffer a fate far worse than that which has been bestowed upon me. Insert "don't make me pucker my lips more" joke here. So yeah, they describe it as a firewall, like some access point that you're not allowed to access. So they give the implication that Awa is blocking herself off from the characters in order for the characters to grow in some significant way, but either that's underdeveloped or they don't go through that, because eventually the Sigourney Weaver teenage character goes through that same ordeal again, but this time she manages to make it only because Spider and the little girl plugged themselves into the whole glowing plant thing as well to help her push forward. Like, if it really was that simple, why couldn't everyone like be in a team effort for that? But basically, they make it to her. She's like this big, probably presumably really big Navi person, because we just see like this portion of her face. They ask for help, but she barely just turns around. You see her eye, and then it kind of glows to white. And then later, we get all these different creatures and stuff like that helping out with the fight and things like that. Oh man, imagine Jeremy Irons as a big blue cat. Yeah, as you can tell, that this whole series is just full of concepts that are interesting and basic, but they're never fully developed. I suppose I was going to wrap up my thoughts on like The Way of Water, but again, pretty much the same plot. I guess she's discussed it in more detail. If you want to see more about that movie, go watch that live stream. To wrap up, Way of Water, Spider spares the commander character for some reason. I guess it's that typical trope of we'll become no better than them. But at the same time, I get it, like family drama. I get it, but at the same time, you're going out of your way to kill other human beings, and yet you're sparing the bad guys. Why do Hollywood movies do this? This is the same problem that The Last of Us Part 2 had. You're going out of your way to kill all these different people, but for the significant antagonist, you're hesitating to kill him because he'll become no better than them. Why do they do that? That's so stupid. Good concepts, poor execution. Yes, that is pretty much the entire Avatar trilogy in a nutshell. Because I suppose it's time to go more thoroughly into Avatar Fire and Ash now. Honestly, it really frustrates me. Yeah, I know. It has so much potential, but the execution is so sloppy. Pretty visuals aren't enough to make a movie. Yeah, as the saying goes, pardon my French, a golden polished turd is still a turd. Oh, look at the turd. Look how beautiful it is. So yeah, time to delve more deeply into Fire and Ash. This more or less goes straight after the events of Way of Water, and Jake Sully's still trying to take care of his family. Natiri's getting hostile to the concept of raising what are essentially clones and a human into her family. So there's a bit of conflict there. And the water people are hesitant for Jake Sully to be using found gun equipment. You must not use weapons of metal. You lose your soul as you use them. The moment they said that, I was immediately going, okay, do they have any equipment at all that's resembling metal at all? Because if they are, then they're hypocrites. I think at best the water people maybe have copper or something like that. I mean, I get that. Okay, maybe you don't have metal. Okay, fine. But at the same time, like you're doing like the same kind of thing with like bows and arrows and like I get it, they're trying to be like pro nature and like things like that. But I suppose it could have been better explained. I suppose. Here's a thought: if the Na'vi looked more unappealing, I doubt Jake Sully would have fought with them. What are you on about? Well, he probably wouldn't have some sexy time with one of them for starters. Conflict arises. Spider's gas mask is beginning to run out of air, so they give him a spare one, and they think, right, okay. Jake Sully and Natiri come to the negotiation. Okay, right. Spider's in danger. We need to get him a more sufficient source of air. It would make sense for the water tribe to have metals like silver and noble metals that aren't affected by water. I guess it makes sense. Especially given how in a later scene they're anticipating these sky traders. So I guess they could be trading up metals in there. And the sky traders like aircraft looks really cool. They have like some kind of inflatable thing. They use like these basket vehicles of like the ships. It's really cool to look at. Anyway, back to the plot at hand. There was an odd bit of writing that occurred. So basically, Spider's got his whole Mowgli thing going on where he has to go to a more safer place, but he doesn't want to because he feels at home out in the wilderness. I guess that makes sense given how much the humans are complete jerks in this simplistic kind of storytelling. But there's something very bizarre that happens with the writing. People say, oh, this movie's the best one. With writing that I'm going to describe, are you so sure about that? So let me describe the scene. So Jake and Natiri quite rightly point out, Spider, you are going to die the moment your gas mask batteries run out. So you need to leave. We need to find some way to get you some better source of air. And then all of their children, adopted and, their own children, all of them say, no, this isn't fair. How can you do this? Dude, your foster brother is going to die. And you think that's a bad thing? What? Disney doesn't need to do a live action of Pocahontas. They already have 3 times. The only thing's missing is Mel Gibson. And Christian Bale. And Billy Connolly. Yeah. Right. So that was a really weak bit of writing because you're telling me that these I get what they're trying to do. Like the teenage characters, typical teenagers, am I right? Are hello Godzilla fan, welcome to the live stream. They're trying to say that no, Spider should be where he wants to be. Spider should be where he belongs, but it's not that practical. I guess Mel Gibson could have played the part of Captain Smith as well as the main villain. Maybe. Thank you very much. Hold on a minute. Pardon me. Anyway, so yeah, that was a weird bit of writing. The fact that all the children say no, even though when you think about it logically, which you will, all of them are saying no to the prospect of saving their foster brother. Why?
He is running out of air. If he runs out of air, then you can't play and prance around with him anymore. It's so stupid.
I honestly, I can't tell what's more stupid, the scene I described or the fact that a character fights with contractions during her pregnancy. Literally out there on the battlefield. So anyway, they head off, and then we're introduced to the new antagonistic force, the Fire and Ash Navi people. So there's an epic fight. Jake and his son get to use the guns and artillery. It's artificial conflict. Yeah, really stupid. Yeah. So his son makes the mistake of missing out on the comms. I mean, been there, mate. I guess we all forget things of that kind of caliber, but at least he kind of remembered only for the comms to like burn up. So the characters get separated. They all have to make a run for it. They manage to barely escape out of the river, but of course, using the artillery, the
Fire Lady gets fascinated with the magic of guns.
Eventually, Jake is begrudgingly reunited with his former commander, and his commander is ordered to bring Jake Sully in as a traitor, but the commander has his own personal agenda to get his son Spider back. So much to his own associates' annoyance, they go track down Spider. Oh yes, Spider tries to get his spare gas mask equipment, which was left behind in like the ship wreckage, but he doesn't make it on time, so he's starting to legitimately die. And this then comes another cop-out where the teenage Sigourney Weaver character, who seems to be very strong in the ways of connecting to Awa, sort of, she starts to like summon like the entirety of like the planet or some magical stuff like that. To try to rejuvenate Spider. So what she does is like she summons like these glowing luminescent hairy plant stuff that goes like all over his body, kind of like a cocoon, almost a partial cocoon, but not quite. It's like this plant stuff like that goes like into his mouth, into his nose, like all covers like the parts of his body that are basically on the ground. All of a sudden, Spider is now able to breathe the air of the planet, and they're overjoyed, obviously. So it's explained later that the reason why he's able to breathe was because what the planet has done is create this symbiote thingy, so that now there's these two living forces, another living force that's in Spider's biological body that is providing air for him to breathe. So all the characters are understandably going like, wait, how is he able to breathe? This is amazing, and things like that. I mean, it's a cool concept, but at the same time, in execution, it comes across as a cop-out for legit character death. And yeah. As you clearly know, good concept, poor execution. Yeah. What could have been done to preserve the scene? I suppose maybe have a bit of foreshadowing about resources and things like that. I suppose drag out the journey a wee bit, or maybe something like that. Or I suppose get more proficient time in actually developing the characters, as opposed to just making them simplistic stereotypes. I think that would have helped. Also, maybe have at least one other significant character die. I think that would help raise the stakes and that really give the characters time to grieve. But I suppose you have Natiri grieving like during this like eclipse event. But again, all artificial. It's an interesting idea, no doubt. It seems that Awa was able to like help out Spider live that way, but then the Fire and Ash people come along. They do what they do. She like threatens the life of Spider. How is he breathing? It was Awa's will to spare her.
If I cut his throat, will Awa save him then? Your goddess is not here. Time to sniff cocaine.
Oh yeah, she does that. Well, with her people. James Cameron just seems to have really lost his touch, prioritizing visuals over good character stories. Like, yeah, man, I mean, this is the same director who brought us Titanic and Terminator 2 and Aliens. What happened to that James Cameron? Man alive. I'm pretty sure the old James Cameron would never have overlooked the essential of good character writing. And the focus on good characters and things like that. It's just such lost potential, man. Jake ends up in the fray, trying beating up the natives, beating up the fire people, only for them to get caught into trouble. Your impression of the crazy Navi Queen is amazing. You need to see the movie for yourself. It's probably a bit quite accurate. The soldier, the macho commander man, is brought in, albeit forced by his life to do it. He shows them how the gunfire works, how the thunder works, so they're for obvious reasons wanting to get more of those guns and stuff like that. The commander guy, Jake Sully, and all the children are all kept in captivity. Natiri is quite far away because she got severely injured in battle, and she called out a flying creature to get away from the scene. Going back to the rest of the group. So eventually the teenage Sigourney Weaver character calls upon like the nature to get to them. Although it was established earlier that the crazy fire Navi Queen person does this ritual, which I could only describe as, forgive me for the brutal visual imagery here, something that is pretty much the Navi equivalent of like genital mutilation, because she cuts off like the hairbrand of some of her enemies, but then for some reason in the rest of the movie she never does that. She just connects her hairbrand to the other character's hairbrand and just tortures them without doing that much. And it was that moment I thought to myself, you should have cut their hair when you had the chance, because the teenage Sigourney Weaver character uses her hairbrand to get in touch with the nature to cause some of the nearby bad Navi to get knocked down and presumably dead or something, so that they can cut their ties and make a run for it. Oh no, she's doing the haircut. Exactly. So let me get this straight. The main villain wishes to hook up with the crazy Navi lady. Honestly, I can't really blame him. Yes, that's exactly what they do. I was looking at the movie, especially in a later scene where the commander person was trying to negotiate with her, especially like going in with just the cargo trousers, like shirt off. And I just thought to myself, they're going to bang. they're going to bang. It was basically the scene where they get back to it. And then eventually, they banged. I called it. So as they're making a run for it, whilst this whole escape situation is going on, like, during them getting tied up and then them escaping, I kid you not, you're going to laugh at this. So what what the evil fire Navi queen person does is that they're all dancing on the fire, boom 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 drums, crazy girl. She does this really cool, visually stimulating thing with her swords and things like that. It's she kind of spins her sword in a certain way where it's pretty cool to look at. But then there's certain moments, I kid you not, she goes up to certain people who are standing like this, and then she puffs cocaine or something up their noses, and they go and start dancing crazy. But it's just the fact that they're using cocaine, or okay, they're obviously not going to call it cocaine, but it's close by comparison. It's just not. I just thought that was really funny. They're all T-posing. Maybe they are. Maybe they are. So basically, they make a run for it, and then eventually, of course, 5 people notice. Oh, they escaped. Go after them. Run. They make it across the river. It's not cocaine. It's Ewain. Yes, it's Ewain. It's no snow. So they escape. The cocaine does come back. Or no, the Ewain comes back. They make it through the water. The fire people aren't really good at tracking through water, so they say, we're going to search through the air. Jake Sully's family make it through. The commander and Jake Sully are going to fight each other. They're out of ammo, but they have the knives. But they're much too exhausted to even bother fighting, so they sleep for the night. Then the moment they wake up, they notice, there's some people overhead, but they find out, nope, it's their friends, including the Thierry. The commander, either way, just makes a run for it, disappears. You mean the Fire Queen's name is Varang? Varang, is that her name? I think that is her name. In fact, I'm just going to look that up just to correct myself. I mean, you people know who I'm talking about anyway. Hold on a minute. Avatar, Fire, and Ash. Okay, let's see. I'm going to look at the cast list just to confirm if that's correct. Cast. Varang. As Varang. Yes, her name's Varang. Yes, thank you for that correction. So yeah, her name's Varang. So the good guys managed to recuperate. The Thierry is severely injured. So she tries to practice with her archery, but obviously, given how that's injured, she's struggling to pull all the way back. To be fair, it is a long film. It's easy to forget character names. I put it in quotes for obvious reasons. Yeah, character name. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but they're stereotypes, not really characters. I'm sorry. Okay. So yeah, this is where more of the world building comes in. Yes, I'm gravely injured. The first thing I will try is practice archery. Pretty much. They're not characters, they are cardboard cutouts. Gorgeously rendered in CGI cardboard cutouts, don't you know? So, okay, I'm trying to recall the order of events and the plot to the best of my knowledge. I've got the plot here, let's see. Need returns to see scientist captain family trip, ship convoys, okay. Miles Quaritch. That was the commander's name, Miles Quaritch, that's right. Okay, it's eventually children trapped by crime. Looking at Wikipedia just to revive my memory. Curie commands a Flora to kill the guards, enabling her family to escape after examining Spider Norman Max, discovering organisms. Oh yeah, let's see. It's not too out of left field, to be fair. Whenever I stub my toe, I practice tennis. Yep, seems fair. I mean, when I shattered my knee marrow from all that long distance running practice years ago, I had to do more running. I even did a whole marathon with shattered knees. CGI stands for cardboard generated images. Yeah. Man, these people in this live chat can make a more compelling plot than what James Cameron and his entire team can combine. I'm sorry. Shots fired. Shots fired. Let's see. Oh yes. So they recuperate. Oh yeah. I just remembered this other really funny bit of writing. So there's a later scene where Spider does get captured by the other humans, and he's experimented on to get a full grasp of the symbiote that's in his body, and the humans are planning to reproduce it somehow in order to get all the humans to breathe the same air. Finally, there's this one line that I think a lot of people will overlook, but I just thought that's so stupid. One of the human scientists asks another scientist, what was the question again? It was okay, I'm going to be paraphrasing here. Tell me about the symbiote. And then he tries to go into all these other details about the symbiote. And then the scientist asks first. He says something really dumb. He says, No. Forget about how it works. I want to know how to duplicate it. Duplicating it, asking to duplicating it. Okay. The guy says, I don't care how it works. I want to know if we can duplicate it. The fact that you want to know if you can duplicate it presupposes the idea that you want to know how it works. Logic. What do they teach in these schools? I once lost my head above my shoulder and kept bowling. Avatar. It costs too much. Unobtainium. Avatar 4 should just be titled Avatar Bros for Life. Yeah. The way of bros and sisters. Unobtainium. That was like a bad guy's pun, yes. Then comes the part where Miles Quaritch, the macho commander guy, has got his like shirt off, goes in with the cargo trousers, has got packs of like military weapons with him to try to negotiate with the Fire and Ash tribe that he's located in order to talk to the fight with them. And it's approaching the crazy queen, and even before she comes out, I just thought they're gonna bang. They're obviously going to bang. But before they get to the banging bit, she gives Miles Quaritch a taste, a whiff of the aforementioned Wayne cocaine. And he even says something quite funny. He says, that's strong stuff. And so this is basically her way of seeing into him. And things like that. And he starts tripping out, seeing like all these flashing colors and things like that. Some mild moving of like the creepy ornaments around her. But eventually she wins him. Even in this drug-induced state, he's able to deduce that her deepest desire is power. After she explained that Ava wasn't there to save her from the volcano that destroyed her tribe, so she became the Navi Ubermensch, I guess. I'm sure tons of NSFW artists are already posting loads of lewd variety art. Oh, no. Welcome to the internet. Have a look around. All the different characters of Harry Potter having sex with each other. Good grief. Right. So obviously she's on his side. Um, they get to work with capturing Jake Sully and the Spider. Let's see what else happens here. Just let me recapping. Oh yeah, he also teaches them how to use firearms and flamethrowers. That's right. Kiri helps Spider bond with the wildlife to yes. Then comes the part where they're taken hostage. Right. There should be a counter for how many times they say "bruh." Oh yeah, what was that? Kiri. Hang on, let me look at the cast list again. Yeah. The teenage Sigourney Weaver character is called Kiri. I kept forgetting that. I just kept calling her teenage Sigourney Weaver character. Once again, I know people say that she's the creepy Sigourney Weaver character because he's now playing a teenager. I can understand that, but at the same time, I was really impressed by Sigourney Weaver's portrayal of a teenager in the previous movie, and it really goes to show how far motion capture can go. And my friend Malaika was impressed with that as well. Take a shot every time they say bro or sis or twin. Kiri is helping Spider to connect with nature, given that because Spider is able to breathe, and because he's got the symbiote living inside of him, he's also growing the hair brand thingy bobber that helps him connect with the animals and the nature into Awa and stuff like that. So she's teaching him how to do that, and something interesting happens. And I think a lot of people are going to misinterpret this, and this is just my input on this, so take it as you will. Their siblings, they extended a kiss together. I do not think this is romantic. Now, hear me out on this. I know, in a lot of Western productions, the moment people get mouth to mouth, people say, "You're a couple." But there's different cultures throughout the world that treat kisses quite differently. In fact, in ancient cultures, there would be phrases like "greet each other with a holy kiss." Even in platonic relationships, you'd have the concept of kissing and stuff like that. Even some countries today, France or Italy or Cameroon, they still practice that kissing as a kind of a greeting kind of thing. I could be misinterpreting this. I don't think Kiri and Spider are an actual romantic couple. I think it's just the Navi way, I think. And they're just sharing the closeness together as brother and sister learning how to get by. Again, I could be completely mistaken. But just take that as you will. It's just my interesting insight on that. Of course, the infamous kiss of Judas Iscariot. There's that to take into consideration. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I'd rather watch Snyder's Justice League over this. There you have it. Me as well, to be honest. It's okay. They were doing CPR. It's CPR. There's another way of interpreting it. The Snyder cut of Justice League wasn't that bad. It was clearly a passion project, albeit not perfect. So anyway, they get ambushed, and then Spider reckons, "Hang on, it's me they're after. You go that way, I'll go this way. Hey, over here, you dip!" The blah 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 blah, and then eventually he gets captured. Let's see. Spider undergoes the. All right, now what happened? How did Jake get captured again? Oh yeah. There was this whole intense scene where the commander and the fire people are approaching the whole water tribe, and there's this whole intense back and forth as to whether they're going to fight or not. So I guess it was I guess that was somewhat interesting. I guess it's just not fully realized because the characters aren't fully developed, but the scene in and of itself has got some interesting tensity to it. So, long story short, Jake agrees to go with them if they let them all go. So Jake and Sully end up getting captured. Something odd I find about all the humans in the humans who are colonizing the planet is that all of them using these see-through how do I describe it? The sci-fi trope where they have the tech thing and that they have these transparent rectangle thingies that can project screens and stuff like that. I want cookies and 90-minute cop out. Right. So basically, the broad majority of humans are using their advanced technology, many people use their mobile phones to record a crucial event, and I think really wouldn't it be enough for one person to have a projected screen and all the humans see that? I mean, they're meant to be professionals at work here, and they're all using that teenagers with a mobile phone. Seriously? I get it's a major event of Jake Sully, the traitor, being taken to captivity at last, but really? Lord of the Rings, these films ain't. And ain't that the truth? So Jake Sully put into this big container for the public to see. A spider is experimented on. There was that aforementioned stupid line about we don't care how it works. We want to see if it can. I want to see if it can be duplicated, which presupposes knowing how it works. Miles has this attempt at having a bond with his son, commenting on his mum, how she was difficult to live with, but he loved her genuinely, and she loved her son. So there was some interesting character development for the trooper guy, and he says, I got the dog tags, so you can have these as one. And then the spider says, wait, can I keep the dog tags? At first, it seems like a genuine moment of bonding, but then Spider cleverly uses the dog tags to unscrew the door of his captivity and escape. Meanwhile, Natiri manages to track down where they are. She manages to knock out a few of the fiery people outside the human base, puts on their war paint to disguise herself as one of the fire people, and manages to sneak in. It works for a wee while, but eventually she sees an opportunity to shoot down hold on, I forgot the name again, sorry. The name was what was it? Varang, yes. She sees the opportunity to. Oh yeah. I remember now. So it was the Miles and Varang were having sex with each other. Yeah, they did that, and Miles leaves to interact with the Fire Navi people. Natiri sneaks in and gets Varang at neck point, and then to her hair after a bit of a fight, to reveal to her where Jake is being held captive. She reveals it, but then eventually she gets caught. She makes a run for it. Did you take a pee during the movie? I took a pee and a poo before the movie. I saw the whole thing. And yes, it's a very long movie. So all that's fun and dandy stuff going on. So she's flying with her flying creature. She's being run for it. And then earlier in the movie, Jake had been preparing these bazooka missile these arrows that had these rocket launcher missiles strapped onto them. So obviously explosive arrows. So she's finally putting them to use to cause some major damage. That's a lot of damage. I'm honestly happy I haven't seen the movie because it is so long and it's just no new input. Yeah, pretty much. Those flying creatures are just pterodactyls. Like glorified pterodactyls, pretty much. Yeah. So I guess we could just call them pterodactyls. So she gets on her pterodactyl, causes some major damage. Jake and the commander have a bit of a strange heart-to-heart moment, for the standards of intense rivalries, about opening up. You have new eyes, open up with that. I mean, what Jake says on a conceptual basis is interesting for some potential character growth for the villain, but this villain never really has much character growth. He remains a typical macho man military jerk. So, I mean, the way Jake is talking, it's supposing that the villain. I mean, he probably would have said that either way because it's good to show kindness and consideration to your enemies in that way. I get it, but at the same time, they're still both going neck and neck at each other whenever they get the chance. It's very sloppy, very sloppy. They do nothing to justify the length. That's what he said. I call the flying creatures in Avatar Ikran or Mountain Banshee. Mountain Banshee. Banshees. I think they're called Banshees. That's what they were. Yes. I think they're called Banshees. Yes. So she's flying around in a Banshee. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I think that's what it was. So she's causing damage. And then, there was a scene where prior to all this happening, there was one man who was in the whole military hologram planning room, and he was expressing concern about killing off these like sentient whale creatures or something like that, showing some ethical concern. And then the female commander says, "Thank you, your protest has been considered." They should have taken him into captivity when they had the chance. Then again, the Shiguni Weaver character expressed the same thing, and that they allowed her to keep going with her research, only for her to get shot later on. It wasn't a whole waste of time. No, it wasn't a whole waste of time, and I'll get to why later on. So this human who protested, he starts to wander off, and he starts using this big, large plow truck thing to get himself into the battlefield to try to help out Jake Sully. So Jake's in the midst of trying to escape, but then all of a sudden this big, ginormous vehicle comes in, and Jake's and Spider, who's trying to like release Jake from underneath his cell. They all look at the big vehicle, and they're obviously caught off guard. But regardless, they decide to use the opportunity to take shelter and then make a run for it. And then the human introduces himself. "Hey, I'm a really big fan of yours, Jake. I really want to help you out." And then Jake says, "Okay, great. Is there escape?" "No, this was as far ahead as I planned." "Okay, right. We need to escape." So they use cover fire and things like that. They have every intention to kill off Jake Sully, but Spider rather cleverly manages to get himself into the fray, and so they don't shoot him because Miles wants him alive. So Spider mocks them for that, obviously. They make a run for it, but the human friend is left behind. But a bit of underdevelopment for the human friend who helped them out. In fact, to my knowledge, he doesn't even appear for the rest of the movie. Crying out loud. Talk about no sense of consequence in some regards. So they managed to fly out of there eventually. And there was this one interesting scene, but again, no major players are killed off in the scene. I guess it could have worked for like some character growth and stuff like that. I suppose in and of itself it works fine, but in the context of the rest of the movie, it's pretty much inconsequential. So the scene in question is they've escaped. Spider says, "Oh, thanks for saving me. I need to get out of this suit. I need to pee, but there's no zip here. Oh, crying out loud," and stuff like that. Meanwhile, Jake and Natir are having a private conversation that if Spider's going to cause all this unintended damage, since the humans are constantly going to hunt after him, maybe it's best that they just kill him off now. And Jake takes Spider out into the forest as Natiri washes herself off of the war paint to disguise herself. And Spider eventually understands what's going on. Jake is trying to go through with it, but ends up, Natiri tries to run after them. And then Jake thrusts, but doesn't actually kill off Spider. And they say, "Okay, there's got to be another way than this." I mean, the scene in itself, it works fine, but when you compare it with like the rest of the movie, it's pretty inconsequential. Given how flat these characters are, you could pretty much, unfortunately, cut the scene out, and it wouldn't really do anything of worth, which is such a shame. Because again, if the characters actually had more proper time to be developed, delving more into some crucial emotional parts of their lives, developing them further, developing more into the nuance, the scene would have been more earned. Probably would have, yeah. I'm doing a poo right now. Ew! Ew! Mate! You're typing on your phone and you're making that comment? You're embarrassing yourself online. That's disgusting, mate! I forgive you though, but mate, you're not the only person I've seen do this kind of thing. That's disgusting. Anyway, at least the first one. Right. It's ironic that these films say corporations are bad, yet they are made by soulless corporations. Yeah. At least the first film, anyway. Yeah. I think it's pretty telling that they go out of their way to like make all these plastic figures on the Toy Story. They have the whole section in Disneyland and stuff like that. All the merchandising. Oh, get our merchandise, stuff like that. But at the same time, they're taking out resources and things like that. Yeah, just that. Just pointing it out. Sorry, I've released that.
I know, but you put your phone down as you're doing it. Now you're like spreading like poo germs or something on your phone. Can't believe I'm having this conversation in the live stream of this caliber. Right. Anyway, back to the movie at hand. Let's see what happens next. So they escape. Okay, the friends go remorseful. Okay, they get back to the village. Talking council hears Jake's warning for the incoming massacre. Decide not to change their pacifist ways. Oh yeah, the siblings are out taking the splash for a wee while, but there's these squid things that almost kill off some of the characters. Fetch me their souls. Actually, a fitting metaphor, right? Let's see. There was this whole scene where the sentient whales said to the water tribe, we're never going to come back because it's too dangerous. But yet later on in the movie, they come back to fight. What? Can you elaborate a wee bit, please? James Cameron. Anyway. So whales come back to fight. They're negotiating with the whales. The kids reunite with like Jake and Thierry, things like that. Okay, so no, I was still let's just stop before it goes any further. So they prepare for the attack. Like they're preparing to harvest the whales for the whole eternal life juice thing that the whales have. Then comes the whole battle scene, and okay, look. If you've seen the finales of Avatar and The Way of Water, then you've pretty much seen this finale as well. So the Na'vi pretty much in a hidden location before they can attack. They scan the whales and leave the whales to fight back, and then they fight back, and then there's guns, and then bow and arrows, and they're going shooting this and that, and the fiery people come in when the eclipse happens. Then I guess the only difference this time is that there's this big energy vortex thing, and due to the nature of the conflict, they get too close to it. There's another really dumb moment where the female commander is like constantly compromised Miles' mission from time to time. Her ship starts getting sucked into the energy vortex that's going to tear your face to shreds. It's why I never watched The Way of Water. It's just the first one again. Yeah, pretty much. So something really dumb happens in the movie. So the ship's getting pulled into the energy vortex thing, and then the man tells the military woman, like, our ship's getting pulled in, and then she says, like, we need to abandon ship. Right, abandon ship. Okay, so they're going to abandon ship. But then in a later scene, I'm pretty sure it's the same military woman, but she's still in the ship as it's being torn in, leading to her death. I thought you were abandoning ship. Ugh. So eventually the conflict escalates to Jake and Miles fighting man to man with Spider nearby, and the energy vortex is sucking up the fires of like the ruined mechs and stuff like that, and they're nearby the ocean as well. It's again, it's a scene where in concept this is amazing, but in execution it needs more character development to justify it. Although something interesting does happen. Eventually, the fight gets into a climax where a spider ends up falling off a floaty, rocky cliff edge, and then the Miles, the commander dad, goes out of his way to like save his son, even with his his arrow shot arm. And it's interesting how both Jake and Miles were both shot by an arrow. They both use the same experienced military maneuver to get the arrow out. Just painfully go, no, don't break it. It needs to do it this way. This is part of the protocol. It's interesting how they both do that, and then the commander, like an actual Chad this time, uses his like arrow shot arm to prevent his son from falling off, and then he tells Jake, "Come on, pull us up." And so Jake eventually, as we real Expedition 33, this ain't for those who come after. Yeah. So Jake pulls them up, and then they're all catching their breath, and then the soldier actually does say an interesting line. He says, "Well, now what? It's a little awkward. What do we do now? Sing a fancy song or something?" Just the acknowledgement that they both still care about Spider, and they're both still in this conflict with each other. But now they're just in an awkward position where they both went out of their way to save each other, and they're thinking, "Well, now what?" So eventually, the family comes in, and they're going to finish him off. But then Jake's like, "Wait!" And then Soldier like says a quirky line, and then just jumps off, and presumably to his death. I see what you're doing, Mr. Cameron. I see what you're doing there. You're trying to imply it's that classic maneuver of ongoing series where a villain in the context of this stories is symbolically and hypothetically dead, but in the ongoing events of the franchise is eventually gonna come back because we don't see them explicitly die. We just see them kind of fall, which could then imply, well, what's to say he didn't jump on the Banshee pterodactyl, or, tip of the water, or the lady person saving life and bloody blah. You just know that James Cameron probably just had another sequel in mind, but wanted the movie to tie up loose ends in its own context, so kind of had a bit of, he's dead, but if there's going to be another sequel, then he's going to come back. The command will return. Yeah, it's come on, he's obviously going to come back. They should have just been more blatant and said, "Well, we gotta wait for the fourth movie." Exactly, mate. Yeah. I already mentioned the scene where the children go out of their way to reconnect with Awa. Again, that was a very underdeveloped world building topic in regards to the stuff like that. So once the battle's over, everyone gets together, and all the surviving members. That's another thing. One of the Water Brother people gets killed, either presumably killed off, but they never mention it at all. Maybe he survived, or something like that. It's never really looked into. It's probably just there for shock value. Either way, it's all superficial. But anyway, whoever's left alive, they all connect with Awa. As Spider is now welcomed as part of the tribe. And to my surprise, the film somewhat subverted my expectations. Both movies ended with Jake Sully dramatically opening his eyes. Boom. But the third movie did not end with that. Prior to the credits, just ended with the glowing planet. Talk about subverting expectations. Avatar, Fire and Ash. Directed by James Cameron. Insert pop song here and stuff like that. Or more pop-oriented songs, something like that. So yeah, Avatar, Fire and Ash. I mean, opinions on the series are rather mixed, but the overall consensus is that it's visually pretty but narratively flat, and that's really all there is to it. There is this whole sentiment that the Avatar series is the kind of series that people rave on about, but then afterwards, no one really talks about. But I suppose it really depends on what you mean by talks about, because I'm talking about it right now, and my friend Malaika has made an entire live stream talking about the concept of like family values and things like that in The Way of Water. So I suppose there's got to be people looking back on it, and but basically the point that people are trying to make is that it has no long-term cultural impact compared to Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and the MCU, you know, where people like analyze it and speculate on it and talk about it for days and days and days on end. You don't really see that with Avatar because it's so narratively flat. Ryan Johnson took over the director's chair before James Cameron pushed him out. If you want family values, just watch the Fast and Furious film. Family. 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 Right, everyone spam family in the in the live chat. So, what else is there to say? I personally think, despite some really cool, your Vin Diesel sounds like Morgan Freeman. Kind of, it's pretty tricky to do Vin Diesel. I suppose you have to switch up your octaves and stuff like that, right? You'll always be my friend. Family. It's so difficult to do that without family. Family. In regards to the Avatar movies, apparently people don't like Way of Water, but this is comparatively speaking. I personally think The Way of Water is the best movie in the series, and that's mainly because they have more proper time to focus on the characters. But even then, there's a lot of contrivances and underdeveloped narrative beats. But the first Avatar movie, it was pretty much as bare bones and basic as it got. I'd probably say the third movie is the worst, simply because it has the most overt writing problems, like the pregnant queen going into a fight during her moment of contractions, and a few other dumb lines like, I don't care about how it works. I want to know if we can duplicate it, which presupposes how the whole symbiote works. That one scene where the teenage kids get angry and upset about Spider needing to go, even though he has to, or else he will literally die. Like, writing goof-ups like that make me think, yeah, this is the worst film in the franchise. But even then, all the films as a whole, like, films combined together, all of them are mediocre. They're all mediocre. Insert the scene from Amadeus. I am their champion. I am the patron saint. Mediocrities, I absolve you. I absolve you. So on and so forth. They Matrix this franchise pretty much. If you remember, they released Reloaded and Revolution 6 months apart. Oh, did they? All right. I mean, that does make sense, but I suppose instead of months, we're talking years, because the first Avatar movie came out, was it 2009 or 2011? Hold it, thought it was first. Sorry, just give me a moment. Avatar franchise. Yeah, it was 2009. Yes. Yeah, the original was 2009. I mean, there are some parallels. Right. That makes sense. The first Avatar movie was released in 2009, and we didn't get an official sequel until 2022. So yeah, that was quite some time apart. So 2009, so that was 10, 11, 12, 13. That was 13 years apart, and I suppose that's some interesting justification for The Way of Water to be set about 15 or so years after the events of the first movie, which, I suppose makes sense. and James Cameron had been working on these movies for a long time, for better or for worse. So 3 years later, yes, he made this movie, Avatar: Fire and Ash. So, man, the series has taken him like almost 2 decades to make. Let me see James Cameron's filmography. He's done deep sea exploration, given his affiliation with Titanic. Let's see, filmography. Let's see, Piranha 2, The Terminator, Alien, The Abyss on 1980, Terminator 2 in 1991, True Lies. Oh, he directed True Lies. That's right. The Arnold Schwarzenegger comedy. You're fired. Then he made Titanic, his award-winning epic in 1987. Right. All right. So let's see. It was 12 years after that he made Avatar. Then 13 years later he made Avatar: The Way of Water. Right. So yeah, he'd been working on Avatar for a long time. But I suppose in between Titanic and Avatar, he'd been doing like deep sea exploration and things like that. I remember when there were ramblings of an Avatar sequel was still up in the air, and there were rumors of Arnold Schwarzenegger playing another villain. Oh my days! Imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger being in an Avatar movie. Just remember that scene in True Lies where the terrorist is clinging onto the plane. Imagine if he was in a similar scenario where he's one of the human villains, and the Na'vi are like trying to bombard like a missile or something. He turns to them and goes like, "You're fired!" Just launches like some of the Na'vi. And that would have been awesome. I'm just imagining Arnold Schwarzenegger in like Warhammer 40K armor or something like that to like properly go against the people, or like his get up in Predator to like take legions of them down. He'd be a legit threat to fight against. Man, like what could he say? Like, get to the Banshee, everyone! And he starts to turn to the good guys and fight for the Na'vi. Get to the Banshee! I'm still pooping by the way. Oh, come on, mate! Crying out loud, mate! What other lines can Arnold Schwarzenegger say? I'm trying to think. I need your straps, your bow, and your Banshee. What else can he say? I'm trying to think. That's a joke. Mate. Right. Right. Nameless is a proper worshipper of Nurgle. Must be a hero from the Mobian Sixth. Sorry, what are you talking about? You sitting comfortably in your rocking chair? Well, it's not really a rocking chair, but I suppose it kind of is. Let's see, where's the thing? I could go back, and I can go forwards. I can go back and forwards. Yeah, I suppose it's that. Oh, I managed to put it in a position where it's much straighter now. Nice. That'd be awesome if Arnold Schwarzenegger was in it. I suppose. What about the themes of Fire and Ash? I suppose family is more somewhat explored, but not really to a great extent compared to The Way of Water. The Way of Water did a better job at delving more into the family dynamics, which is why I think The Way of Water is the stronger movie. I'm just waiting for the Christmas tree to explode. Again, it's a film that has some interesting ideas, but it's never given the time to properly develop. It seems like James Cameron and his team are really much into an explorative world of wonder and things like that, but he never bothers to go deeper with the deeper concerns about practicalities of religion, of internal politics, of all stuff like that. So it ends up coming across as very shallow. In fact, there's this video by Pilgrim's Pass, which I would recommend you watching. I'll give you guys the link to it. Just give me a moment while I try to find it. Where was it? Pilgrim's Pass. Pilgrim's Pass. He made a video comparing Avatar and Princess Mononoke. Just give me a moment while I try to find it. Where was it? Aha! Yes, here it is. Avatar versus Princess Mononoke. How to have a message. Yes, copy the link. Put that here. Okay. There we go. At your own time and leisure, just click on that link and it'll lead you to the Pilgrim's Pass video, which delves exactly into why Princess Mononoke did the whole environmental message thing much, much better. You're rocking in your chair is more entertaining than any of the film. Our discussion is more fun than any of the films combined. Although, I suppose speaking of fun, I'm just curious about something. I've played the Avatar game for the Nintendo Wii, and yet I've heard there's different versions of the Avatar video game. And there's been another Avatar video game called Avatar Frontiers of Pandora made by Ubisoft. I wonder what's the most fun Avatar game. It's going to be either Avatar Frontiers of Pandora or any of the particular versions of the Avatar game in the other consoles at the time, around 2009. That's an interesting question to ponder over. But that's not really up to me. That's going to be up to somebody else who could even bother to do that. I think Oni plays a video on that game. All right. Okay. All right. Interesting to note. What else is there to say about the themes of the movie? About the themes of the movie. In regards to the themes, it's all pretty flat. I mean, they're going to the whole this aspect of like colonialism is bad, but at the same time, they're implying that Pandora is one of the few safe havens left for humanity to go to. But they're saying, oh, humanity has pretty much wasted all the resources on planet Earth. Like, okay, like granted, like this is like setup and things like that, but at the same time, the Earth has an amazing way of regrowing itself if there's stuff like that. Like for example, like during the pandemic. Because nobody was using public transport, the whole toxic gas thing, it reversed. Like, it actually stopped and reversed. So, the Earth does have a way of healing itself. And you also have to take into consideration, like, resource management, like, the fact that we need certain stuff for, like, medical stuff and to keep the children warm. And other things like that. Obviously, the excess is wrong. I've used these resources where you can, but the Avatar series never really goes into those nuances. So it just comes across as very hollow, and it's the story that we've seen over and over again. Yeah, they're not big. Fire back. That's all it has to say. Pretty much. Yeah, they're not really deep. I mean, I could go more into the theme, but I think Fire and Ash particularly, due to its flimsy writing and its lack of proper exploration of the themes, it never really goes all the way with it, which is very disappointing. And the first Avatar movie, it's as basic and bare bones as it gets. Like at most, with this series, you can get comparisons to Hinduism, as well as I guess a surface level insight of like the badness of like colonialism and things like that. But that's pretty much it, as far as I'm aware. You're strange as far as us. Like I said, I play it that way. But I suppose, regardless of what we think of the movies, there's one thing that's undeniable. If you're gonna watch these movies, watch them in 3D. For some reason, I didn't see the first Avatar movie in the cinemas, but I wish I did just for the sake of seeing it in 3D. But I did see The Way of Water in 3D. So it was really immersive to get all the close water and rope kind of mechanics, as well as the objects like during the underwater sequences, as well as being up close to the sentient whale creatures. Watching it in 3D actually helps with the immersion of the visuals. But then again, that will depend on whether you like the 3D gimmick in the first place. I personally like it, especially this rendition of 3D because it's not the blue and red thing. It's kind of 3D where the lenses are made so that the imagery can look like it's really popping from the screen and really adding to that sense of immersion of that wow, that wonder of seeing all these like luminescent jungle areas and like the characters authentically getting wet in like all these like rivers, these oceans, and things like that, and all the immersion of the environment and that kind of thing. The Avatar movies would absolutely work as like a basic tech demonstration, as it were. Yeah, it certainly works as a tech demonstration, and I'd be curious to see more movies like try 3D. In fact, when I went to see this in the cinemas, there were some adverts out there that were displayed in 3D, like an upcoming film collaboration between Billie Eilish and James Cameron. Speaking of James Cameron, let me double check on that. I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was Billie Eilish working on that. Hang on a minute. Just give me a moment. Billie Eilish. I will be hopping off to sleep, Gum. It was good to hear from you again, and I really enjoyed this discussion about cinema and whatnot. Yeah, you're welcome. Glad to catch up with you. Best of fortunes going with you on your history studies. Kind of wish that cinema would change and try to remember what makes a truly meaningful and compelling story. Yeah. I mean, if you know where to look, there are some great films out there. Like some of the best films I've seen in the cinema this year were Warfare, I Swear, and like King of Kings and a few other notable examples. As well as just some pure entertainment stuff like The Bad Guys 2, and to my surprise, Zootopia 2, or Zootropolis as we call it here in the UK for some reason. But yeah, there's this sad implication that people are going to stick to streaming simply because Hollywood can't give us the authentic experiences we're looking for, which is sad. But hey, I guess that's a discussion for another time. Off to sleep with you, Alex. Thanks for joining. I need to double check something regarding Billie Eilish. I'm pretty sure it was a collaboration with James Cameron. Hit Me Hard and Soft. Yeah. It was Hit Me Hard and Soft tour. There's a movie. Hold on a minute. Where was it? I'm pretty sure I saw an advert for it. Hold on a minute. And James Cameron. James Cameron, Billie Eilish 3D project. They did showcase that trailer in 3D for a reason. They are bringing back 3D. Right. Okay, this article in Ellie. Might as well share it. Just give me a moment. Share the screen. This one. Yes. Okay, onto the stage. It was this one I saw an advert for in the cinema. Everything we know about Billie Eilish's new 3D project with James Cameron. So James Cameron's also been working on that, clearly. On Saturday, Billie Eilish announced that director James Cameron was in the audience at her Manchester concert, and he wasn't just enjoying the music. The duo is planning a 3D film experience together that appears to be in production throughout her 4 nights at the UK venue. Here's everything we know about the experimental concert film so far. What is Billie Eilish and James Cameron 3D film about? The film is being recorded during the Eilish's Manchester concerts from her Hit Me Hard and Soft tour, which she launched for her 3rd studio album on July 19th. She told the excited audience, so you may have noticed there's more cameras than usual up here. Basically, I can't say much about it, but what I can say is I'm working on something very, very special that with somebody named James Cameron. It's going to be in 3D. Oh, the crowd would have freaked out and that kind of thing. Just getting so ecstatic. Working a 3D project. Let's go. I thought it'd go well for that kind of thing. Yeah. It's continued. So take that as you will. And these four shows, her and the Manchester, you and me, are part of the thing I'm making with James. When will the 3D concert film be released? Eilish has 3 more shows planned in Manchester following the announcement on July 22nd, 23rd. Next shows are set in Dublin, July 26th and 27th. But it sounds like Cameron may not be recording them. If that's it for filming, the release likely depends on post-production. How did Eilish and Cameron start working together? Eilish has not shared anyone information about how she and the Titanic director connected over this project, as well Citizen Irish, because the Titanic launched from Ireland in 2023. Eilish shared a bit about her collaboration process while talking to IndieWire, specifically about her work with brother Finis O'Connell. Every time we try to do anything in another world, it's just very inspiring in so many ways. Right. Okay, so they did display it in 3D for some reason. Last thing I'll say, poop. There we go. There we go. Okay. And yes, for once I actually kept the 3D glasses. One thing I don't understand is, looking back now, why did they insist on putting the 3D glasses in the bin every time you exited the cinema? Did they have like a discarding day or something like that? I mean, they seem like pretty sturdy stuff to me. That doesn't really make much sense. I just thought, no, this time I'm keeping these. There wasn't a bin, so no one told me to get rid of them. And these 3D glasses cost me like another few pounds. So yeah, I'm keeping these, and I'll be proud to keep these. And if there's another 3D film, then I presumably just take these along and just put them on. Sounds like fun. Okay, put them in. There we go. All right. I think that about does it in regards to Avatar Fire and Ash. I suppose maybe we should delve into what worked in the way of water. Just give me a moment while I set the thing up. Just give me a moment. I'm trying to look for. Yeah. The whaling symbol was stupid. Yes. Yeah. Hold on. I'm trying to look for a specific bit. Yes, you mentioned the whaling plot point. And who's saying that? It's pretty difficult for me to concentrate on multiple things at once. Right, no need to charge that anymore. Come on. Just give me a moment. I'll hop off soon. Come on. Right. I just wanted to share out Malaika's video. Boost her algorithm and stuff like that. Might as well get her intake. Where was it? There it is. I'll give you a portion of what Malaika had to say about the way of water, because she
commented pretty significantly on the whaling subplot, and you can even see like the whole back and forth that her community and her were having. The whaling subplot. Where was it that there was mentioned the subplot? Yeah, I mentioned like the whaling subplot went nowhere. I was basically saying that the only here it is. The only purpose for the whaling subplot was to give the water tribe a motive to fight because it was severely underdeveloped, and she delved into details about the whole resource management and things like that. And there was someone else who said that. The Way of Water is better than the original Avatar movie. Not great, just better. Like I said, better in regards to character development, but not much else. Let's listen to what she has to say.
That was a weakness of the plot that didn't.
Let's go back. I think at this point she's talking about the whaling subplot.
Are the military and the people researching to help the military fulfill their tasks. And so in that case, it's like, well, why would there suddenly be a commercial whaler in addition to scientists and military personnel? And these are independent whalers. They're not whalers for the military. They're not whalers for the state. They are independent businessmen, so to speak. So that was a weakness of the plot that didn't really make sense to me, because it's not the same as Earth. Because obviously when new territories are occupied, let's say, for example, a particular area of the Caribbean has been discovered, even though I'm pretty sure you can't discover places that people have already lived, but let's just use the word discover. I understand that on Earth, a territory that we are familiar with and a territory that has largely been explored, commercial, people will go in there for commercial value that doesn't have to do necessarily with like resources. So that storyline of whalers being in the ocean and hunting the Talcon would make sense on Earth, because that's a territory we largely know a lot about.
The Talcon, yes, that was the name of the sentient whale creatures. Yes, that's right.
However, Pandora is a different planet, meaning there's space travel involved. So the expense of having to hunt the Talcon becomes so much more than anything on Earth. How would these people even get the resources to explore what financial benefit could be gained on Pandora, when, remember, it's a hostile territory, so you can't exactly just stroll in there and do all the research that you want. So some things just didn't make sense logically in terms of that whaling plot. So yeah,
again, this is one of those things where James Cameron, if he was actually intuitive enough to delve into that, he could have elaborated more into that piece of world building, because when you're building up world building, if in this kind of imagined world from your head, you have to take these things into consideration. Otherwise, it's not going to be believable. There's a concept by J.R.R. Tolkien called secondary belief. It's a term about immersion where you become so immersed into an imaginary setting that this abstract concept becomes a reality. Secondary belief, proper immersion. So in order to get that proper immersion settled, you have to not only delve into like the superficial stuff like faraway places and things like that. No, you have to actually delve into the inner workings of those faraway places. You have to take into account the core worldview, the nuances of the religiosity, the relationships, as Malaika's pointing out, the resource management, the economics. But the Avatar movies never really delve much into resource management other than, hey, let's uproot this here tree to gain access to this unobtainium, blah, 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 blah. And hey, let's go kill some whales for this eternal life juice. Man, that whaling subplot was just so severely underdeveloped. Like, it's like,
I mean, yeah, the Tarkoon were like, yeah, they were established creatures in the movie. You know, you see the characters take the time to develop with them, but the whole like whaling subplot that Malaika's mentioning, it just kind of came out of the blue, and like it was severely underdeveloped. Oh, hey, this whale juice can make us live forever. Oh, right, that's got pretty big implications. Are you going to go any further into that? No. I guess they kind of do in the third movie with the whole plan to get a whole bunch of the whales together using the sonic boom sound stuff, and then kill them off all of them at once. But you know that even then that overlooks like world building implications about getting the whales to breed and to have more whales to have potentially have more eternal life juice. Because come on, guys, you've seen the Lorax. That's a story that says, oh, the resources are gonna like run out. So yeah, don't get too cocky, morons. So like all these implications, like James Cameron, it seems I've gotten carried away with his fantasy, but he's not really taken to all the considerations of like the machinations, like the secondary belief. It's like if you analyze the Avatar series and the way that Malaika is, then it falls apart. And it's just as well I brought up Tolkien, come to think of it, because Malaika is a huge fan of the Lord of the Rings series, and Middle Earth takes a lot into consider in regards to the cultures, the inner workings of the cultures, the cosmology, the heroism, the virtues and things like that, the proper character development. And yeah, sure, you'll have George R. R. Martin come in and say, oh, what about Aragorn's tax policy? But Malaika's made a video addressing that critique from George R. R. Martin. Basically, long story short, that's just not the main focus of the story. Oh, but is that an excuse for sloppy writing? No, the focus is on something else. Oh, but what you're implying, that could apply to the Avatar series. The Avatar series is narratively bland. The Lord of the Rings is not. So there you have it.
And those are like some of the things that were just a bit weak about the plot. But where this second movie really shines is it's in its characterization, especially of the Sully family.
Yeah.
We do get a more fleshed out villain as well, because he is more, he tends to be more calculative in this movie than he was in the first.
Yeah.
In the first, he was just sort of all out violence.
Yeah.
But in this movie, he's more manipulative. He has conflicting feelings. At times we feel sorry for him, but we never like sympathize with his goals. Like
that much really hasn't changed that much going into the third movie.
We still know that this is clearly the villain. We don't like him, but
he's the bad guy. Anyway,
we sympathize with him a little bit because he has the son who he never really got to bond with, and now he's trying to bond with him while they kill people. So you know, it's complicated, and
it's complicated.
It makes a more nuanced character.
It's complicated, son. It's complicated. Oh man. Oh, sorry. Something's happening here.
Without actually turning him into like a sympathetic villain, which I liked. So let me pause.
I have no idea what I just did with the display, but I think I've significantly improved it somehow.
To look at the chat because there's a lot going on. So Callum says James Cameron loves water. I remember playing the licensed video game on the Nintendo Wii.
I said before,
another video game on this franchise coming out.
Oh yeah, that was referring to Frontiers of Pandora, which is now out, and people just said it. Yeah, it's more corporate Ubi slop. Man, it's no wonder Clear Obscure Expedition 33 exists. Anyway,
was a DS and a Tamagotchi.
Oh yeah, she was talking about that, yeah.
And to be quite frank, I'm not really that interested. But if I do like sometimes the storylines of stories of video games.
Yeah, I was talking about a bit again. Okay, blah 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 blah. Wait a minute. Oh wait, is this the bit I think it is? Hold on a minute.
The player was displaying.
Wait a minute.
But okay, going back to the.
Wait a minute.
So the comments. Callum says Princess Monaco did.
Princess Mononoke. She didn't know how to pronounce it at the time. Princess Mononoke.
This message 10 times better. Our brother Pilgrim's Past covered this. Probably will watch that. I've again never watched that movie.
I've given you guys the link to the video I mentioned earlier. This is the link. Click on that link. Watch that video by Pilgrim's Pass, and you'll understand why Princess Mononoke is the superior movie.
Don't have the time, but I will make time to watch these things, because even shows and movies that I really have wanted to watch for a long time have sort of just taken the back seat to every.
Yeah, but the same is relevant for me, unfortunately. So many movies, so many games, so many TV shows I want to watch. So many things, so little time. Anyway.
Discarded in favor of work.
Malaika is such a busy lass. She hasn't uploaded that frequently for a long time. Believe me, she's very, very busy. Justifiably so. Life. Anyway.
The whaling subplot went nowhere.
Yep.
Also, fun fact, Weaver portrayed the teenage daughter who can control nature. That's an impressive acting range. I know. I was watching the casting, and that was incredible. Weaver's performance shocked me. I mean, I would have never guessed that it was her behind Kiri, because I don't want to be ageist, but wow, that's a very incredible performance, and I loved it all the more because of that. So Double A says James Cameron's best movie is Titanic. I mean, Titanic was. I need to go back and watch Titanic. The thing is, I'm a massive tomboy, so when
to this day, I haven't actually seen the whole Titanic movie. I've seen Terminator 2 and Aliens, and I've seen True Lies. Yeah, I know, all this time. I haven't seen the whole of Titanic. I know, like, the crucial scenes and stuff like that. I've actually been to the Titanic site in Ireland and everything, but I still haven't seen all of that movie.
I watched Titanic for the first time, all I had were questions about their relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Because I didn't really understand why they began that relationship in the first place. I kept asking, why can't they just be friends? And then the scene that everyone talks about, the fact that that door was definitely big enough for two people, and she sort of just let him die. And I thought that was just an awful decision to make, because
but if we don't have that, we don't have the tension of the tragedy.
You clearly love this guy enough to, go against your parents and everything else, then at least try and save him. Or try and keep.
Let's try to get back on topic.
So I guess, yeah, Titanic probably might be his best movie. I would probably need to watch it again just to see whether the plot
James Cameron,
is with that one for now.
Right.
First Lobster says The Way of Water is better than the original. Not great, just better. Yeah, I mean, it is. It's better than the original. Is there enough to say that the movie is great? I don't know if we had to put The Way of Water next to other great movies, whether it would stand up. So I agree with you there. But it
wouldn't stand a chance.
Have elements that, if you just had to extract those elements and put them up next to elements from other movies, it would definitely be up there. But altogether, yeah, if you take the sum of everything that The Way of Water is, its weaker parts sometimes are really weak. Dialogue, for example, which was the other thing that I wanted to talk about on this live stream. Dialogue in The Way of Water sometimes got awful. at some points it was like we have this great sort of visuals, but they need to speak, and so let's just give them lines. And so some
no sense of trust in visual storytelling, no sense of trust in the audience's intelligence, no trust in show don't tell. Crying out loud. This is made by James Cameron. Crying out loud. I think that's gotten worse in the third movie.
some of the lines felt clunky and not well thought out. It was, some of the dialogue was a bit cringe. Some of the dialogue was a bit it's like an undercooked meat pie.
It clearly needed like another several drafts. In fact, I suppose if there are anybody who would be willing to talk more about the Avatar in terms of cultural impact, like I said earlier, it would probably be about how they would write it better, I'd imagine. There's got to be a movie like that online, right? There's got to be something, some article, something. There has to be something.
But but overall, I think I was just so engaged with their family dynamic, and I felt so much for the characters that there were things I just kind of overlooked and was like, okay, I can look past the dialogue and I can look past the sort of awkward accent at times, and the fact that Loak, the second son, doesn't really have an accent, whereas Neteam has a strong accent.
I mean, I guess Jake Sully's American and Natiri's like the native, so I guess there's a mix of accents.
So I was just like, okay, it's a bit all over the place, but we can look past this.
I guess there's some things that you can look past the same way you can overlook like American accents in Amadeus and stuff like that. To be fair, and yeah, as Malaika said in her live stream she made years ago, yeah, I mean, the family dynamics was the strongest part of The Way of Water. I would have liked to have seen that dynamic explored more thoroughly to grow the characters in the third movie, but once again, James Cameron misses out the opportunity for authentic nuance in exchange for superficial, bland spectacle. Like, what else is new at this point?
Yay. Callum says, read this carefully.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. Here we go.
I will give this all my attention.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Yo, listen up. There's a story about a little guy that lives in a blue world, and all day and all night, and everything he sees is just blue. Like him inside, blue. His house is blue, with a blue little window, and a blue. Everything is blue for him and himself, and everything in life to do got nobody to listen to. And blue, okay. Callum. That was a very serious message.
Yeah.
A very serious message indeed, because we needed to know that he's blue.
Yeah. That made me laugh. Typing in that message was worth it. Okay, I think that's enough. I think you get the idea. That was worth it. That was worth it. That was worth it. Okay, what else was mentioned in that live stream? Let's see. Let's see. Pardon me. What else was there to say? Lobster said, you know, I realized in the Avatar universe, the Earth is literally dying. Humans need Pandora or else they won't survive. So much room for nuance, and yet all we get is humans bad. Very true. If nothing else, The Way of Water must be praised for promoting wholesome family values. All right. It was also said by Lobster, to be fair, I would have never made the Corporal such a villain to begin with, and I would have made Natiri less good. For the nuance. she would have actually wanted to kill Spider, causing Spider to stick with Corp. Well, I suppose they kind of go with that idea in the third movie, but again, it's all superficial. It's never really delved much into that much. Hello, Godzilla fan for life. Welcome back. And the last thing I'll say for you is that can I be your friend? Have a great day. Okay, have a great day. Yeah, glad to have you around. Glad to have you around. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much for watching. What else is there to say? Let's see if I missed anything. Because Spider is the Corporal's son, because Spider is the Corporal's son, it's an avenue for redemption. Spider can show him the error of his ways or something. Yeah, Spider showing him the error of his ways, and that having the Corporal Miles open up. Again, there was missed potential for that. The characters just remain their bland stereotypes. I mean, there's concepts of some dynamics going on, but they never fully explore into that. It's such potential. Spider was such a poorly written acted character, was giving me great value. Tarzan, beyond obnoxious, that choice he made at the end made me want to throw something at the screen. Yeah, the choice he made to spare Miles, causing much of the conflict in the third movie. Yeah, why did he spare him? Even he was questioning that. Like, again, it's never really fully explored. If they more explored their dynamics and the drama, it would have made more sense as to why Spider saved his life in Way of Water. But again, he doesn't cause the third movie to happen predominantly. It's superficial stuff. Yeah, go ahead and watch the rest of Malaika's live stream if and when you get the chance, because it delves more into like the, dare I say, nuances of discussing the Way of Water and things like that. I think I've said all that I need to say in regards to Avatar Fire and Ash. And I think, given how there's not many people watching right now, I'd say my audience is pretty much replete on discussing this movie as well. I've had my fair share. Right. And we shall continue the festivities. And we shall have a fond look back on 2025 at some point, I would imagine. So stay tuned for that. So thank you all so much for watching. And if there is anything I missed somehow in regards to Avatar Fire and Ash that's worth mentioning, or if you just want to express your opinion on the movie, please let me know in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for tuning in to watch. Don't forget to comment more frequently, as it helps with the algorithm. Share any content you can with people who would take interest in any particular topics that I bring up, and just continue the love and support, and the world will be a better place for it, especially if we do that to each other. All right, that's it from my end. So thank you all so much for watching. Scott Stinker signing out. Ho ho ho.